Hey guys, Bump here, bringing you another Frost Death Knight Dragonflight video. This Wednesday, we got some pretty significant buffs, and yesterday I spent the evening, playing some Frost DKs in a couple of high-ish keys, 21s or so, to get a feel for it. And here, we're looking at the 21 Azure Vault, where I'm running the Frost Obliteration two-hander build. So I think, started off right, how good are these buffs? How do they feel? And I say they feel great, right? There is a significant increase in DPS this week compared to previous weeks. Getting that 3 target cleave is really quite powerful. You can leverage it in the majority of pulls and you get a lot of DPS out of it, right? I think if I look at my overall, maybe it's 10k, 15k more than I did last week, so I'm very much a fan of it. This video, we're gonna both discuss my build, talents, stats, all that kind of thing, as well as rotation. And when I'm done with that and all the other kind of things I feel like I want to raise, I'm just gonna do some commentary on my gameplay. Start off though, the build I'm running up here. This has become kind of my standard build, and like specifically, I pick up Frostwind's Fury, right? But not with Absolute Zero, just Frostwind's Fury. And that's to get these 3-minute dragons with Posser Box. I do feel that combination is really strong. So every 3 minutes, you pop your Posser Box, right? You go in, pop Pillar, do some Blitz, right? And then send your Frostwind's Fury, and it crits for 500k, right? That's the kind of vibe we're looking for, yeah? You could opt to run Chill Streak as well. I think it would do similar DPS. The damage would definitely be more spread out, and I think it would net you around 5%. So yeah, I think Frost Fury is around 7% on this run ish. So they are comparable, right? And I think it depends on dungeon. This is Azure Vault. I could definitely run Chill Streak here, I think. But where dungeons like Nockwood and Academy, Frost's Fury is just going to do more damage overall. Mostly because you can do some pretty good padding, yeah. For trinkets, right, I'm not running optimal trinkets here. I don't have much to choose from. For instance, Grief Torch, it does nice priority damage, but ideally, I would like to run something else. I think Icon would be good. Hunger of the Pack, Whetstone, those kind of trinkets would be more ideal. Look at that. Bam. Triple 220k Blitz. Very nice. Anyway, for stats, you might look at my stats and be like, oh, do we need this much hate? The answer is no. I wouldn't recommend running so much hate. The issue for me is that I don't have 2 gear sets. This is just what I have for my raid when I run Unholy. So, and it works fine. I think ideally I would want more crit. I get very few natural killing machine procs here. That obviously means that I overlap less killing machines in my windows, right? But still, I want to get more overall to be able to get better damage between my pillar windows, right? If I had to choose, I would try to get roughly equal amounts of haste mastery and crit. So get around 3k of each, something like that. That's just very vague thing to aim for. Alright, so that's stats gear and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about rotation. So how do you do optimal DPS with this build? It's all about managing your obliteration windows properly, right? So it's around 45 seconds or so with ice cap, right? We want to pop down our pillar frost, right? And then we want to leverage that juicy oblit cleave to optimize our DPS, right? How we do that, right, is that we first of all start out our pillar window, ideally without killing machine proc. I like to spend them before going into it because we want to kind of maximize the number of procs we generate and spend in the window. So don't want to start with a killing machine proc. So if you get one, I just press it beforehand. You press pillar, right, and then you immediately want to generate a killing machine proc. when you just go into a pack, that would generally be with a Rhyme proc you get, because you pop all the cooldowns before the Obliteration window. So you go Remorseless Winter, Abomination Limb, Empowering Weapon, that comes beforehand. And since Remorseless Winter does give you a Rhyme proc when you hit more than 3 targets with it, which means that we have a free Rhyme to go start with. So that's generally what you press. But sometimes you will also initiate with Glacial Advance. Anyway, what you do, right, is you press Pillar and then immediately press one of these buttons. So either Howling Blast to spend the Rhyme proc, or you press Glacial Advance. You can do that in a macro. I used to do that, but I feel like if you just, tap the buttons at the same time, it works as well. You don't lose that much uptime on it. Even though it's not completely optimal, it's kind of fine instead of having like 3 macros to deal with. Anyway, so you start it off, right? You press a pillar, you generate your first kill machine. What happens next? Next, you pop down Deafening K. And this might sound counterintuitive, right? Because you're like, hang on. In my pillar window, surely I want to be able to generate and consume as many killing machine procs as possible. Shouldn't I use my Deafening K before? So the reason that doesn't work is because Deafening K is too short of a duration. So if you use it beforehand, right, it's going to end before your window kind of finishes, which means that at the end you will lose out on the Blit Cleaves. The ideal scenario is to initiate pillar, hit 1 GCD, and the second GCD will be your Deafening K. That's how I do it every single time. And it's just, as I said, it maximizes the number of killing machine oblit cleaves you get, which is very important. So an oblit cleave is 3 times a normal oblit, which is huge. So we really need to focus on that. Right, after the FNK, you're going to spend that first killing machine proc. And what comes next is just this weave pattern, right? So what you do is that every second GCD you generate a proc of the killing machine, and every second you consume it. So it goes Obliterate, and then you do Glacial Advance or Rhyme, and then you Obliterate, Glacial Advance or Rhyme, Obliterate, and so on. Now, how do you choose when to use Glacial Advance or Howling Blast with a Rhyme proc, right? I think that's an important one. So I think they're both good to press, generally. So Glacial Advance will stack up Razorize and everything. Hang on, that Howling Blast will do that as well, sorry. But Glacial Advance will stack up on these Frenzy stacks, which you want, right? It gives you strength, which increases your pillars. However, Howling Blast will count towards buffing your pillar, just a strength gain. So that would also be beneficial. So I'm not quite sure what to prioritize. Ideal scenario, right? You just press Glacial Advance to keep up on Unleash Frenzy buff, and then generally otherwise you press Rhyme proc. However, in big pools, Glacial Advance deals a lot of damage, so you want to prioritize. It's a tricky one, all right? In big pools, you want to prioritize pressing Glacial Advance because it deals more damage than Rhyme, just flat out. In smaller pools, you want to make sure you use the Rhyme procs, but you also don't want to miss out on Unleash Frenzy, and you want to stack up Unleash Frenzy. You can see, you can understand why this is a difficult one, because both you do their separate things in good ways, and there's not a clear winner. We're going to have a look what I do in my gameplay. The priority for me is keep up Unleash Frenzy, so I'm going to make sure, so I've got my track up there to make sure I do that. And as I said, in big pools, I prioritize pressing Glacial Advance. In smaller ones, I go a bit more into Rhyme procs, right? And in a big pool, when I start off, I want to use triple Glacial Advance to stack up my Unleash Frenzy, so that the finishing oblits deal a lot of damage. Okay. Hopefully that was sensible. Let's recap that. So how do you attack a pack, right? You go in, you use your trinket, right? Boss box, right? You need to pre-use that one. You do Remorseless Winter, you pop your Abomination Limb, Empowering Weapon, right? Get all of those out of the way. Press a pillar, immediately follow up with Rhyme or Glacial Advance, right? Pop down Deafening K, and then you do Oblit, Glacial Advance or Rhyme, Oblit, Glacial Advance, Rhyme, so back and back, right? Let's take a look here, right? So I pop Abomination Limb, and I'm actually waiting a couple of seconds here because I don't have a pillar up, so I'm gonna see if we get that. Pillar is up now, so I press that, immediately press Glacial Advance, Deafening K, and then I do my cleave, right? There we go, generate one, consume it, generate, consume, right? That is what we're looking for, right? Sometimes you will be unlucky and you won't be getting enough procs to keep your blitz going, right? That just, kind of sucks, but not much you can do about it. If you end up in a scenario, right, you have a killing machine proc, you don't have enough runes, you want to consume rune power, because that gives you the highest probability of generating runes for your next one. So if you're sitting there, you're starved, right? I will prioritize Glacial Advance instead of consuming Rhyme proc. That's your choice. Right, that is done. After your window, right, what happens? I think that's something we discussed. Everything doesn't die in 10 seconds, right? So what I like to do, I just continue my single target rotation, right? I'm gonna just hit Obliterate, I'm gonna consume my Rhyme procs, I'm gonna hit Glacial Advance, we are running Death's Echo, which means we have a second Definitely window we can use. What I like to do is wait until we get a natural killing machine proc and then use that second window to kind of leverage that big hit. If you just pop it down, you might not get a killing machine proc. It's kind of going to be kind of wasted, which I don't like generally. So I make sure I get a killing machine proc before I use my second FNK, and I'm also very sure that I will have my FNK ready for the next pillar. I don't want to use an intermediate one and then end up, having to wait with my pillar window. All right, another classical opening, right? I should have probably used Obliteration Limb there, but we're now in our cleave, so we're gonna hit Obliterate. We've got double proc there, nice. Now I use my trinket and everything. That's something, right? I'm running Grief Torch, and I 100% want to use that after my burst, right? You don't want to press anything else in your Pillar Frost window. Which brings me to another point, right? Remorseless Winter, how do you use that? Ideally, you want to use it just before your pillar window, so you get full overlap with the strength buff for your big pillar, for your big Remorseless Winter, right? That doesn't always happen. So what happens if, Remorseless Winter comes off cooldown, I'm in the middle of a pillar window, right? You wait. You don't want to use Remorseless Winter in your pillar window. That's a big no-no. Your pillar window is sacred, and we shouldn't mess it up by using other abilities. Here we go again. So we go Remorseless Winter, pillar plus Howling Blast, and then we go Oblit, Glacial Advance, Oblit, Howling Blast, Oblit, double Oblit. There we go. That's how it looks like, right? 200k burst on the 3 targets. Piece of cake, yeah? That's what we're doing, right? And then we do that every 35 seconds, and that's how we kind of do well overall. All right. Oh, I had a thought that eluded me now, but we're just gonna, wait it up. Anyway, so I think that's everything. Rotation-wise, I want to talk about. Actually, one final point on bosses, right? We're just doing the normal single target rotation. It looks similar to the AoE one, but we're not gonna pop down FNK. And generally, we're not gonna use Glacial Advance, except when we stack up those initial 5 stacks of Razor Eyes. In that scenario, we use Glacial Advance instead of Frost Strike to get to 5 quicker. So you might see me, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it here, but I'm going to use Glacial Advance at the start of any boss fight to stack those up. Furthermore, I use Glacial Advance quite often whenever I'm out of range of the boss. This is to do damage that I otherwise wouldn't be doing, so it's a useful one to do. Alright, we're going to send a huge Frost Swim here. There we go. I can see I'm demonstrating my 3-minute window with Posser Box and Frosting Fury, and it deals a ton of damage. Something I noticed recently, you see that I press Glacial Advance and I don't get Unleashed Frenzy. You might think, okay, hang on, what's happening there? So Glacial Advance is terrible when used next to any sort of stair or little, there's some tiny little Z-axis change there, and it just doesn't hit them, right? Which means that I don't get Unleashed Frenzy, because Unleashed Frenzy reads that you have to damage enemies with Rune Power, not spend Rune Power. So that's a bit too bad. Again, right, it doesn't hit them at all, which is unfortunate, Anyway, so I think that was everything rotation-wise. The rest of the video is going to be me doing commentary, which I've done already pretty much. But anyway, so if you feel like you got what you need, this is a good opportunity to end the video. However, at the end, I'm going to show you the breakdown, discuss a little bit more, talk a bit more about the single target DPS and so on. So do stay on if you fancy watching more. Now, I want to discuss, not picking up Glacial Advance, right? What are the merits? Why would we do it sometimes? And, what's the impact? I think, generally, using more Frost Strikes in rotation means that our pillar windows are closer together, right? Glacial Advance doesn't work with Ice Cap, which is a huge shame, but it is what it is. And that means that, we don't get as much pillar reduction that we could. And, using Frost Strike, even though it deals much less damage overall, it would mean that our pillar windows would come close together, right? Which would increase because we can leverage that cleave a little bit more. Furthermore, we don't have to deal with the fact that Glacial Advance sometimes doesn't hit the targets, and we don't have to worry at all about this whole conundrum of pressing Howling Blast with Rhyme Procs or Glacial Advance, right? It's going to be a much simpler priority, which is, use Frost Strike to keep up Unleash Frenzy, otherwise use Rhyme Proc as your priority, right? Pretty simple. Do I think it's better? I'm going to have to play a bit more, I think, to make that judgment. But I see some people talk about it. It makes sense in some dungeons with lower target counts. Like maybe Quarter Stars. You wouldn't get enough value out of Glacial Advance. That kind of thing. So, I don't know. I'll get back to you. I'll see if I can do a non-Glacial Advance build. Kind of get a feel for how it performs. Do I do more, less DPS? How does it feel overall? So I think I'll get back to you that one, but it's definitely, there are merits to it. It's not a clear cut, Glacial Advance is always a good pick. Sometimes it isn't, right? Now, next topic, which is related to the dungeon itself, right? We're going to do this interesting skip where you just don't kill any of the frogs. I think that section, it is a bit tricky to effectively do damage because everything's jumping about and, it's just difficult to do proper damage. So we're going to kill lots of extra trash at the start. We're going to jump down. You can see another Frostworm. There we go. Did that do much damage? I don't know. And I think this is actually the go-to. The issue for me is that I can't jump down without dying. So you'll see I'll actually suicide. But you can get around that by picking up, I think there's, I'm going to find it. There's some engineering boots you can pick up from, is it Shadowlands? I don't know. That means that you can jump down from large heights. So if you do this dungeon often and you have an extra profession to spare, that could be a possible option for you. Now, let's have a chat about my gameplay. So you can see I got a Power Rune weapon ready. Unfortunately, I don't have Remorseless Winter, so that's going to have to come after my pillar window. I'm going to do, there we go, refresh my Unleash Frenzy. I'm also going to consume the Killing Machine proc before I press my pillar. And then I go into this cleave, right? Unfortunately, I have to go out of Deafen Case and move back right in quickly. All right. We're finished with the pillar window, which means I can now press Glacial Advance. I can use my Grief Torch, refresh my Unleash Frenzy there. I should make it glow or something, make it a bit easier to track. I'm not sure, I only did 110k that pool. I would expect to do a bit more, but I guess the moving out of Deafen K didn't help. And you can see, generally a pack lives for 45 seconds, which means that when I'm finished, my pillar will be up for next pack, which is strength for Frost, right? Pretty much every single pool will have cooldowns. So there's not much, dealing very low DPS. I think one issue is that we don't do much single target DPS, right? On Tyrannical, that's obviously going to be a bit of an issue, but it's kind of is what it is, and I'm not sure we can do much about it. Another big pool, right? Enter our pillar, go into the cleave, right? I retarget there because I got rooted, so I needed to just start to step a little bit to make sure we actually got something to hit, right? Sorry, I had to change the target since I already routed so I could get into range for something to hit. Alright, we can see I'm going to do my second Death and Decay window there. It's a good example of it. So I got that natural killing machine proc, which prompted me to use it. And I knew that, you know, I will still have my next pillar window available. So it was safe. Now the pack is dying, but I feel like, you know, I'm probably going to get enough time there to use my second pillar in this pool, which I definitely think is the right one because we need to rest this guy anyway. The fact is, right, we have such short cooldowns that if you hold on to them at all, you're going to be wasting a lot of cooldowns, lots of DPS overall. So just send them. I say this every video I do about Mythic Plus, right? Don't hold the cooldowns, just send. Alright, so having said that, I have held my Apostle and Apostle Fury. I think the idea for me here was to be able to leverage them on the boss to do a good damage on the ads. However, that's not going to happen, I think. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to use my Apostle now, right? It does last for a long time, 20 seconds. So I was hoping that the boss would actually spawn them, but it turns out that wasn't the case. I'm just going to send my Frostwim here to do some juicy cleave damage. This intermission, we can't do that much here. You're talking about last boss, right? That was a struggle for me. I'm used to playing Unholy, which is like really good at dealing damage to those shards. Just dot everything up and it just dies. Whereas Frost is much more difficult to... you have to go to one each, right? You have to make sure you have cooldowns for it, otherwise you do really bad damage. That kind of vibe. Let's see, I'm going to clear here. A good example there of using Glacial Dance when I'm out of range. You know, might as well, because it's not like you starve on resources. Any Glacial Dance you use at range is damage you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, so 100% recommend doing that. We're going to grip these images in. We also have a blood tank, so not going to be too difficult to deal with. And I'll make sure my Unleashed Frenzy has uptime. I should check, right? I'll do it at the end. How good was my Unleashed Frenzy uptime? I'm sure I can improve it, but like the changes where it goes 10 seconds is so much better. It's significantly going to increase your overall uptime. That's for sure. Alright, not much happening here, right? We've got another pillar window, going to pop that ASAP. Going to get some nice cleave down there. You know, whatever we can do to help the team. Just do more DPS. And we go into another intermission. Yeah, there's not much to say about frosting a target, right? It's all about, you know, getting those pillar window every 4 to 5 seconds. Just blasting generally. As you can see here, I'm doing mediocre DPS, only 50k or so. But it's also because Frost is not very good at dealing with his illusions, right? Quite a lot of downtime as we move between them. We can't really effectively dot up multiple to do nice clear damage, so just we're going to have to do our best. I'll make sure to use my next pillar there to kill them, right? Don't want to hold on to pillar at all. Every second you do is like a big loss of DPS. Alright, let's see if we can pop down Death and Decay. I'm probably gonna just kill the boss there. Alright, so now we're gonna do the skip, right? We have 100% trash, which means we can get back and jump down to the penultimate boss. Let's see, I've never done the skip, so I'm kind of following the feral here, but it turns out he's going the wrong way. So we'll just gonna follow the tank into the middle. And as I said, I'm not Goblin, I'm not Panda. I think both those can survive this jump. Goblin definitely can, but Pandas I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna get down there and get rest. There we go. Piece of cake. I think I should make sure I can actually do the skip properly by doing engineering. I have a secondary profession I don't use at all, so might as well. You know what I mean? Alright, this boss here, not much to say about it, right? We're going to use our AMS tech to dodge the mana, the bombs, right? Which is nice, helps the healer. But this boss is just so much easier nowadays than it used to be, given that the puddles on the floor, they don't deal damage immediately, which used to be like a huge issue. Right, we're going to do puzzle here. As you can see, I always channel it before going into my cooldowns, because you're doing it after, it's just going to mess up your timings. Alright, some juicy 220k oblits there. And then I should be sending my frost swim here, but I missed the opportunity here, which is going to desync it later. Not a good idea. Should have paid more attention. Alright, we've got grief touch up, just going to use that ASAP. We've got frost bombs, we're going to stack those here close to the next one. The previous one, sorry. You can see that it just doesn't do mana damage anymore. It used to be like, I used to do this tech where like I jumped as it hit, so I could get out with only one tick. But nowadays it's just a breeze to dodge them. And you can see I use AMS, it allows me to skip every second one. Alright, the boss is at 50% soon. So we are at 650 left. And you will see, right, we are barely going to make this because the last boss is going to turn out into quite the challenge. But you will see that. It's going to show you why DKs are nice to have, because we are so bloody tanky. Ain't nothing killing us. Which you might have noticed on this run. Did I die a single time? I'm not sure. Obviously, that's also because I can touch stuff. But it helps that Frost is just... and DKs generally are just incredibly tanky. Alright, I messed up there, I think, because I was going to pop my AMS and I immediately accidentally hit my Frost Strike button. So this pillar window was a bit in shambles, but oh well. I dropped my Unleashed Frenzy there. Need to pay more attention, biceps. There we go. Alright, so we got next pillar coming up, right? I'm going to pop my cooldowns there. Make sure we actually get the boss down before he jumps away again, which is a significant time save. Right, it goes at 100 energy. So this is like, if it jumps away, we lose multiple seconds. But no, we manage. Final boss, right? I think this fight, if I'd done this differently, I might have wanted to save my cooldowns for 75%. What's going to happen here is that everyone's going to pop the cooldowns, get the boss to 75%, and then have nothing for when we get the shards, which turns out to be a huge issue. Not so much for us, because we can AMS the debuff, but everyone else kind of dies. You will see what happens, right? In the meantime, right, over there I got both my breakdown and my buffs. I need to look at my buffs, but myself, I don't have them up here. But hopefully we're going to see some good Unleashed Frenzy uptime, hopefully. Anyway, you can see it's hitting 75%. I think it could have been closer to the wall here. So I don't have any cooldowns at all here. So I'm kind of going to struggle to even get a single one. Like this one, if I had my Oblit window, it would have been fine, but I'm clearly not killing this. So we're going to prop AMS, which is going to prevent the debuff. But you can see the other three are going to struggle. Anyway, we get the healer back up. Going to pop another pillar window. And I think we just lower DPS now, so it's going to take a while for us to get into the next shard phase. And hopefully the tank is going to tanking a little bit closer to the edge. I think if it's right up at the edge, you're going to get much... the spawns are going to be much closer together, which is going to make it easier. But I'm not going to... I'm going to spoil it for you. This fight will finish with just me and the tank. Because we also have a DPS dead now, so that's going to make it difficult. So I'm kind of making sure I use my puzzle box there. I use that. I know at 50% we're going to get some shards, so I make sure I have my coolness ready. I'm going to do some dragon here to deal with them. There we go. try and hit as many as possible. Unfortunately, there's one here on the tank, which I won't be able to get to. There we go, so I'm going to AMS again, and we're going to get another fracture. And I believe we just rest the druid, but he's not going to make it, I think. We'll see. Alright, there's the healer. There's the other guy. Right, just me in the tank now. And the 1 DPS. We've got 230, so it feels like kind of fine, but it's definitely not easy. Now, I'm saving. I know 25% is when we get the next set, so I'm going to save my pillar, make sure I have some damage there. No healer, so I'm going to use Death Strike there to heal myself back off of the big deep damage hit. And I won't get the next shards. Quite a difficult set, unfortunately. Kind of a bit all over the place. Managed to get that one, however, there's almost always one on the tank, and Jesus Christ, there's a lot of these bubbles, so this is another AMS. And it's just going to be me and a tank left. Anyway, this is not difficult. DKs don't die here. There's nothing doing damage really, so we're all good. Again, I'm going to say it. These buffs are significant. They you can definitely feel them when you play. And for me personally, it's like a 10k DPS upgrade on just any dungeon really. That won't make it better than Unholy. Like I don't think I can beat Unholy in any dungeon with Frost DK, but still, it's significantly better than it used to be. So I feel like it can hold its weight. You know, I've done a couple of keys. I generally do top DPS overall. I'm going to keep pushing and to see how far I can go with it. Really, I very much enjoy the gameplay of Frost DK. Who doesn't like doing 750k in one button, which you can pretty much spam? It doesn't happen always, right? But it does happen. Do leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what do you think about these buffs? You happy? Have you tried them out? Does it feel better? That kind of vibe. Off vote, down vote. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.